Good evening. Welcome to the Development Management Committee. I'm Councillor Kieran Bowker, the Chair of the Committee. Just some public announcements. We're not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm goes off, please make your way out of the nearest emergency exit and gather at the front of Runnymede Hall. Members of the committee are live streamed on the internet on the Council's website. If you're seated in the public area, it's possible that your image will become part of the broadcast. And can I ask everyone to switch their mobile phones off or to silent? Thank you. May I ask the Development Management Committee members present who are seated in the chamber in front of me to introduce themselves, stating your name only, starting on my left.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Jamie Huntman.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Michael Fuller.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Grace Watson.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, all. Councillor Carol Sage.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, all. Councillor Rob Lillis.
Good evening, Councillor Matt Cortez.
Hi everybody, it's Councillor Russ Savage.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. It's Councillor Diana Jones.
Thank you, members. May I ask the officers present to introduce themselves, again, starting on my left.
Good evening, Stephen Garner, the Assistant Director for Development Services.
Good evening, Sonia Worthington, Democratic Services Manager.
Good evening, Loretta Hill, Civic and Democratic Services Officer.
Amy Mead, Democratic Services Apprentice.
Good evening, David Bland, Legal Advisor to the Committee.
Good evening, Mohammed Mir, Trainee Solicitor.
Thank you. And may I ask any other members present to introduce themselves?
Good evening, Councillor Sharon Ainsley.
Good evening, Councillor Duncan Macpherson.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is apologies. Are there any apologies for absence, Sonia?
We just have one apology from Councillor Howlett.
Item 2.
I have an apology from my husband, Stephen Sage.
Thank you. Item 2, members' interest. Members, are there any interests to declare? No. Item 3 is minutes. Members, are the minutes for the Development Management Committee held on the 10th of June 2025 agreed? Thank you. Item 4 is the Welcome Hut, Western Esplanade, Canby Island. Members, we have an application to demolish an existing cafe on Western Esplanade, Canby Island, to construct an enlarged cafe and restaurant building designed to mimic the form of a wave. Members, can I check with you all that you've had an opportunity to read the addendum to this report? Yes. Thank you. I'll now ask the Planning Officer to present this item.
Thank you very much, Chairman. The application being presented to DMC this evening for the Welcome Hut on Western Esplanade is being presented to the committee because under the Council scheme of delegation, all applications on Council-owned land need to be presented to the committee for consideration. The application site is the Welcome Hut, located on Western Esplanade. It's located to the south, and I'm sure many of you will be aware of its location, prominent location on the seafront. For those who aren't, the Welcome Hut is located between Western Esplanade and the sea wall along here. And if I move on to an aerial image, you can see the site here. To the south is the sea wall, whilst to the west you've got an area of open space. To the east you've got the Labworth car park, which is owned and run by the council. You've also got the open space and the seafront entertainment area. And then to the north, you've got more residential forms of development, houses, some flats, that sort of thing. The existing cafe on the site is a small single-storey flat roof structure with an area of hard standing to the front. You can just about see here, which is just about large enough to park a single car. And if we carry on, you can see that here, this is looking from the Labworth car park towards giving a side profile, and you've got to the rear of the cafe, you've got a hard surface outside seating area. And then just to provide some more perspective, you've got the view. This is from standing on top of the seawall, looking down on the site, and you can see, again, just to give you a bearing, you've got the Labworth car park here, and off over in this direction is heading off towards Thorney Bay. Permission is sought to demolish the existing cafe, and to construct a new replacement cafe. The architectural approach of the new design is set to be a striking feature against the backdrop of the seawall, mimicking a wave design. It's fairly obvious where it's got its name from. Internally, if I just run through, these are the side elevations. So you've got a slightly shorter side elevation here, and then where the wave reaches its crest, you've got a taller elevation which is facing towards the Labworth car park. So, where am I? Excuse me, I'm just looking for the site, the internal plan. Oh no, that is it. So internally, the proposed building would have a large seating area, bar area, toilets, a small office and store, as well as a kitchen. Whilst externally, you can see here there would be an enlarged patio area with proposed to be landscaping, planting, seating for customers to use. The overall design of the proposal is considered to represent a significant improvement over the existing building and offers a positive layout and design approach. You'll note from the report that the site is allocated within the local plan as public open space. However, I think it's important to note that the current use of the building is a cafe. It's not entirely open space. There is already a cafe there. And the enjoyment of the public open space is furthered by the existing cafe. And it's officers' opinion that the new proposed facilities would further the enjoyment of the existing open space and not act as a detriment to it. No parking is proposed for the proposal, which would, on the first glance, appear to be a bit of an issue. However, it's considered that due to the site's proximity to the Labworth car park, if I flick back with it in the slides, you can see that there is a lot of parking immediately adjacent to the site. There's a public right-of-way running along the top of the seawall, and given these considerations, it's considered that there's readily available access to the site without the need to rely on additional on-site car parking, which, if needed to be provided, would detract from the public open space that already exists to provide those extra parking bays. It's also expected that a number of visitors to the cafe would be those that would already be attending the seafront, so there'd already be visitors to the area. As you'll see before you this evening, the proposal has been assessed against our adopted policies and found to be compliant, subject to a number of conditions. Those conditions are set out on pages 17 and 18 of the report this evening. These conditions broadly cover the approved plans, materials, the submission of details of a flood response plan, a landscaping scheme, waste storage details, cycle storage, and the reinstatement of the highway curb. You'll also have been made aware that an addendum was sent round this evening. I'll apologise for the need for that addendum. This amendment proposes an additional condition which would require the submission of a suitable surface water drainage scheme. Hopefully the reason behind that, and as set out in the addendum, is self-explanatory, but in summary, the proposal increases the amount of hard surfaces which are impermeable on the site, and thereby it has the potential to increase the risk of surface water flooding. By submitting an appropriate drainage scheme, it would enable for details to be approved prior to them being undertaken on site to ensure that the development doesn't increase the risk of surface water flooding elsewhere. It is therefore recommended to you by officers as set out in Appendix 1 of the report, with the addition of Condition 9 as set out in the addendum, that the decision be taken by the committee to approve the proposed scheme for the demolition of the Welcome Hut and to permit the construction of a replacement cafe. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Stephen. Mr Wilkinson, the applicant, will now speak in support of the application. Mr Wilkinson, please take your place at the microphone, and you have 3 minutes in which to make your statement. Thank you very much.
I know this application has already been recommended for approval, but I just wanted to share with you what I consider are some of the benefits of this project, which aren't necessarily conveyed in the application itself. As I'm sure you're aware, the site is situated directly adjacent to the entrance to the main seafront car park. With its high standard of design, this new venue is going to be rejuvenating what is currently a much neglected area, giving our visitors to the seafront a vastly improved welcome. The design is fun, coastal and unique. It's a building that belongs in the heart of our seafront. It's a building we can be proud of. The area is currently plagued with antisocial behaviour and crime, and I aim to transform it into an attractive, well-maintained and safe location It improves the streetscape, enjoyment of the public realm, and encourages foot traffic to neighbouring businesses. I'm glad the planner has highlighted that a fully operational business here will help discourage crime, and in doing so will contribute to revitalising the area. I understand my responsibility to be a good neighbour, and I'm committed to operating responsibly, with appropriate soundproofing, lighting, respectful hours and clear security measures to ensure minimal disruption. I want to reassure you that this is not a Wetherspoons I'm planning here, but a family-friendly, accessible, inclusive and upscale establishment. And again, I'm glad the planner has acknowledged, due to our thoughtful design and layout, the impact on neighbouring properties is negligible. The new restaurant will be a welcoming and vibrant social space. At a time when many traditional gathering spots are disappearing, our restaurant can become a modern community hub where people can connect and relax. And as for our community, this project will bring direct economic benefits. It will create new local jobs, from kitchen and waiting staff to management roles, providing both employment and training opportunities for local residents, especially young people. By offering year-round rather than just seasonal employment, the business can invest in them and their futures. Beyond that, I intend to partner with regional suppliers for food, drink and services, and supporting small businesses and community groups, keeping money circulating in our local economy. And finally, I would like to stress that this isn't just a business venture. It's a response to a real community demand. I've been a seafront stakeholder for many years now. I've spoken with existing customers, the local councillors. I've spent years mulling over what's perfect for that spot. I received strong interest and encouragement and many ideas from local residents who want more dining and social options close to home. People shouldn't have to travel off the island to enjoy what we plan to offer, which I feel is something new, exciting and different to the offerings we already have. The proposal brings economic advantages, community value and thoughtful regeneration. I hope you agree this is a great investment for Castle Point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Wilkinson. If you could make your way back to your seat. Thank you. Members, do members have any questions for the planning officer about the planning application? Please note that this is your opportunity to seek clarification from the planning officer on any matters that are unclear of regarding the application. Members should be reminded that they should refrain from making statements about their views on the proposal. These should be expressed in the debate section of the meeting. Who would like to ask a question? Councillor Savage.
I noticed that it says about a licensed bar. Has the existing CAF got a licensed bar? And I'm asking purely from a resident's perspective. Obviously, there are houses immediately in front of that, isn't there?
I don't know whether the existing premises has a licensed bar or not.
Councillor Cortez.
Thank you, Chair. The car park next to it, is that ever locked or closed, or do we know what the opening times for the car park are? It's not going to. My thoughts being the restaurant isn't, and the bar and restaurant isn't going to be open when the car park's closed, forcing people to park on the road.
My understanding is that the car park is locked overnight. What those hours are, I'm not sure on, unfortunately.
Certainly.
Could we, obviously, as the people who own the car park, could we look at mirroring that, because we wouldn't want there to be overspill where people then start parking in residential areas if the car park's going to get closed?
That is something that could be looked at. It wouldn't be a matter for this committee, but it is something the council could look at.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. It's regarding accessibility from the car park, the Labworth car park, to the proposed cafe. How are, for example, wheelchair users or people with very limited mobility going to get to the cafe if they have to park in the Labworth car park?
Yes, so there's proposed to be a number of landscaped paths. So there's one that leads from a flight of stairs down from the seawall, but also access from the car park along this path here, so that there's easy access from the Labworth car park to the site.
Councillor Lillis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. A couple of questions. The footprint of the existing building compared to the proposed development. This is council-owned land, isn't it, Stephen? So I'm assuming if the footprint is bigger, which it looks to be on the diagram that I've got in the report, that all the legal formalities and everything else have been agreed in terms of selling the land, leasing the land, whatever we're doing. Is that correct?
So my colleague David Bland may correct me, but my understanding is that there hasn't been an agreement as yet. But if this were to go ahead, there would be there'd be an agreement in place. Am I correct, David?
Yes, that would be correct. It's a separate matter that's not part of the planning committee, but is something that will be dealt with.
Understood, thank you. I just didn't want to be selling off the crown jewels or whatever. And my second question, if I could ask it, Chair, with your consent. I noticed that in the report that we've been given that the current cafe has this single parking space out front, and I believe that's going to be lost and the curbstones and what have you replaced. But it occurred to me, surely if you're running that cafe stroke restaurant and you've got deliveries and hot dog rolls or whatever it is they're going to be doing, surely you'd want that parking space right up against the building and not have to park in the Labworth cafe and lug everything across, for want of a better expression. So I'm not sure what the rationale is behind losing the existing space and relying purely on the Labworth cafe. Thank you.
So as far as deliveries, waste collection are concerned, there's an area. So at the moment, the existing parking is accessed from a drop curb about here on the site. But what's proposed is to be a vehicular access put in at the other end of the site to provide access for bin collection and deliveries, so that any delivery lorries, as you say, delivering hot dog buns or whatever it may be, wouldn't be parking on Western Esplanade and taking up that space. There potentially would be scope for if it came to light that additional, maybe a parking space for one of the members of staff or manager or something was needed. There is some capacity over in this area of the site where that could be provided. But the exact rationale behind removing that space, I'm not entirely sure. That's the applicants, but there is space for deliveries and things to be taken.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Cortez.
Thank you, Chair. My initial question was about the space for deliveries and staff parking. But also, with it being a new build, is there any option or scope for solar panels, or is it not in the right position? Is it not facing the right way?
So solar panels would be something that the applicant would be, they could most likely do under permitted development rights. It wouldn't require permission. It's not something that we can require because we haven't got a policy that supports that. In order to require things to either exceed current building regulations or to do things that aren't included in the building regulations, like solar panels, we'd have to either have our own local adopted policy through the local plan, or there'd have to be a national standard saying you must do this.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure whether this is the right bit to bring this up or whether it's in the comment section, but I know that this is not a planning requirement, but I would really like to see, if possible, the installation of changing places toilet within the facility, and ask if it's possible for that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you for phrasing it as a question at the end. Thank you.
Yes, you're completely right. It's not a plan. We haven't got any policies, a bit like the solar panels. We haven't got any policies that require it, and there's not anything under building regulations that could require it either. It'd be within the applicant's gift, and I'm more than happy to reach out to the applicant and ask the question. But unfortunately, I can only ask. We can't require that they do it.
Members, are there any other questions? Okay, members, the Planning Officer's recommendation is that planning permission be granted, subject to the conditions outlined at Appendix 1 to the report and additional condition 9 set out in the addendum to the report. For the purposes of debate, I move the recommendation. Councillor Huntman, as Vice Chairman, will you second the motion?
I second that, Chairman.
Thank you. Please note that members should only speak once during the debate section. Who would like to speak first? Councillor Fuller.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. It's I'm quite as a Canberra resident, for no other reason, I'm excited about this. It's an opportunity to once again add value and interest to our seafront. We've worked for a number of years to try to improve the offering down there, and with the pavilion at Thorney Bay, this seems to me to be an entirely appropriate addition. I've read the report carefully. I've looked at the addendums and the conditions. Certainly there's nothing in that causes me any concerns. I'd like to just make an observation about the comment about the parking and the adjacent Labworth car park. It might be worth members remembering, of course, at the other end of the Labworth car park, we've got the Labworth restaurant and cafe, which itself doesn't have its own car park, and that's immediately adjacent to the eastern end of that Labworth car park, and that has functioned quite satisfactorily, both as a daytime cafeteria and a nighttime restaurant for a number of years. So I wouldn't have imagined that there will be any problems with this particular development being able to use that car park, the customers using that car park. It has been said, of course, that this is a seafront offering, and a lot of people will be parking for doing other things on the seafront, getting their feet wet and all sorts of interesting things like that. So again, I just feel that the parking really, although ideally you may say, yeah, wouldn't it be good if you got half a dozen car parking spaces, that may not be possible. We know that's not possible. My only slight concern, which might be addressed, is the facility for disabled access to the cafeteria, because it would seem to me that the only way that a disabled access would be achieved is by either using that turn-in for the rubbish and whatever and the supplies, or actually parking in the Labworth car park at a suitable disabled bay. It may be worthwhile as an adjunct really to this application. If that was to go ahead and to be provided, we might need to look at some disabled provision at that end of the car park. Other than that, I think I would support this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Cortez.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to say what a great asset that looks like that could be, and to bring to the area. It's a wonderful looking building. It's different, far better than what's already there. And should the applicant manage to be successful, then I wish them every success with it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Savage.
I'd like to echo what Councillor Cortez has just said. I think this building's a breath of fresh air. To be honest, I think it's an eyesore, the existing cafe, and I think this will add a lot of value as the councillor for people in the community. I think this is exactly what we need to produce across the borough, not just on Canvey, and ultimately I'd like to compliment the architect and the developer for what they've achieved or what they're hoping to achieve here. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said.
Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. I also echo my colleagues. I very much welcome the application. I thank Councillor Fuller for his local knowledge, and I too am very excited at the prospect of seeing this wave emerge the right side of the seawall. I wish the applicant all the very best with his future endeavours. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hummon.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, we all seem to be on agreement on this. I mean, in my view, small business is the lifeblood of the economy, and we should support these entrepreneurs, which we're very fortunate to have in a great number in this corner of Essex. I mean, the clear benefits, tax revenue, employment, another fantastic attraction for Canvey. And I for one, am very pleased that this has been recommended for approval, and which shows the support for local business, which is in the spirit of government guidance on helping the economy, and of course I wish them every success.
Thank you. Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say I agree with everything that's been said. Looking at the building itself, I think it looks amazing. It will fit in on this side of the seawall, as it was pointed out. It will fit in, and personally I'm pretty excited about it. It's something's needed to be done there for a long time, and this looks lovely.
Councillor Sage.
Thank you, Chair. I think this could become a really iconic building, like the is it the Three Shells at Southend? I think it's fantastic. I can't wait. Yeah, can't wait.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Along with the rest of the members, I agree. This is a great-looking development there, and will be quite iconic. And I can only reiterate my request for Changing Places toilet because, as far as I'm aware, there's only one at the other end of the island at Waterside, and to have one there would be ideal because it would not only draw wheelchair users but their families as well, and it would just make it a lot more accessible for those people. Thank you.
Thank you. Unusual though it is for the chair to speak, we seem to have a general tone around the room. I think this is a multi-dimensional asset and something which Canvey and Castle Point should and could be extremely proud of. Thank you. Members, the motion before you is that planning permission be granted subject to the conditions outlined at Appendix 1 and additional condition 9 set out in the addendum of the report. Can I please have a show of hands? And that is unanimous. The motion is carried. Planning permission is granted, subject to conditions. Thank you, members. That concludes the business for this evening. The meeting closed at 19:26. The live stream can now be stopped. Thank you.